Hello and welcome to the Business of Story. I'm Park Howell, and you know what? I believe that your story matters. I believe your happiness is actually found in your unique story and how you tell it. I believe if you want to grow your business, your people, and your life, well, you need to share your authentic story, warts and all. I'll help you do just that with my new book, Brand Bewitchery, which will show you how to wield the story cycle system to craft spellbinding stories for you and your brand. Grab your copy on Amazon or Apple Books today. Thousands already have a head start on you. So what are you waiting for? Order your book now. What do you think of website pop-ups? Do you find them disruptive and annoying like I do? We're going to put that to the test today with a gentleman who has had great success with pop-ups through the power of storytelling. How? By truly understanding what your visitors want and need and when they're actually ready to buy. But first, today's story marketing moment. The thing about website pop-ups is that they are typically brand-focused, not customer-centric, which may be an even bigger problem for your website. Is your homepage all about you and your brand, or does it place your customer first? I learned an easy way to switch this perspective from Ardeth Albee, a brilliant marketer and author of Digital Relevance, who has an eye for crafting customer personas. I interviewed Ardeth way back on show number 25 when we focused on customer personas that day. She taught me this really cool thing called the pronoun test. Try this simple test on your homepage. When you read your website, is it all about you and your brand? What if you change the pronouns from we and us to you and your, meaning the you in reference to your visitor, prospect, or customer, placing them at the center of your brand story? So instead of saying things like we at such and such brand offer, change it to you may be looking for such and such product or service, and you've come to the right place. So ask yourself just how often you use you and your versus I, we, and us. This is the central premise of business storytelling. Your audience is always the central character in your brand story. It's always about them. Understand where they are on their journey and empathize with what they wish for and want out of life, and then watch how they start popping up in your world regularly. So brand storytelling, can it really make a difference with your website pop-ups? We'll find out how with Mogens Zmoller, CEO and co-founder of Sleeknote.
The one thing, if you put a picture in your pop-up boxes, actually no matter how stupid you do it otherwise, but just putting a picture in it compared to not having a picture, you double your conversion rate.
So great to have Mogens here. He is a sought-after speaker on digital marketing and shares insights on how to quadruple your pop-up conversion rate. They founded Sleeknote after finding a remarkable pop-up solution for one of their clients and realized that people could easily use their platform around the world. They were growing so fast, in fact, that they toyed with getting venture funding for their enterprise. But a health scare changed his perspective on life and on business. Today, Mogens shares tips on how to use storytelling to make your pop-ups work, how to place your customer first on their buying journey around your site, and how to truly focus on what matters for all of those people you serve. So please welcome to the Business of Story, Mogens Zmoller. Mogens, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Where are you coming to us from?
From Denmark. I don't know how many know about that, but in Europe and Scandinavia, the little country just south of Sweden and Norway, that is Denmark.
And what city?
It's a little city in the west coast called Holstebro, but very close to a little bit bigger city called Aarhus. But it's not Copenhagen, so actually just a small city.
Well, welcome. It's so great to have you here from across the Great Pond. And today you have a tall order. I'm just going to lay that out on the line right now because, and I think maybe I speak for a lot of people, I love Pop-Tarts. I don't know if you know what those are, but these silly little breakfast sugary things that we have out here. And I love soda pop and I love my pop. but I hate pop-ups. They are annoying as hell. I'm trying to read something and boom, I just start getting these pop-ups. But you all at Sleek Note took this job on and are trying and are being successful in changing pop-ups into these annoying little things into adorable little things. Should I do, is that too much of a stretch?
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Well, that's what we're going to cover today because I think, in 5 years of doing the business of story, we've never covered that. And I believe we probably have a lot of doubters out there. So we'll see if we could change their mind. Before we get into that, let's learn a little bit about you and your backstory. Where did you grow up? And take us to a moment in your life that has kind of shaped who you are today in the marketing world.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow. Great question. I grew up as a child of two teachers, so it wasn't really in the cards that I was going to be an entrepreneur. But I always liked to have small shops. I always liked to sell all kinds of, drawings when I was small, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of had it in me from the early beginning. I think a moment that was pretty defining for me was when my dad passed away. It's about 12 years ago. He's been a father, of course, a father figure, but also a role model in many ways. And so that was kind of a defining moment where I was kind of getting the feeling that I was on my own. And I was pretty convinced that I would succeed in building something. But now it was like, now it's myself. And I haven't met my wife at that point and got 4 kids as I have today. So I was actually alone back then. And that was a kind of defining moment that now I'm going to build a career. I'm going to do it myself. So the very short story from there was that I got into the world of online marketing. Worked for an agency for, I think, 6 years. I found out that I was actually getting an education as a web designer and worked on designing website. This was in the beginning of the zero, so like 2002, 2004.
Is this something you had really hoped to do, or did you just kind of fall into this work?
Definitely. I actually had my own little small kind of business back in maybe late 90s, where online was just about to grow, right? Where I designed small websites in Front Page or Dreamweaver, I think the names was of the platforms back then, before Shopify and Magento and all this stuff. So yeah, that was a dream to be hired in an agency and to do this full time. That was just amazing. So I got full time in an agency, and I found out that I was actually not that good at coding websites as I thought. Other people were a lot better than me. That was actually kind of a bummer for me back then, because
a rude awakening, huh?
I was not that good at understanding databases and building all this code, but I was pretty good at selling it. And then I was pretty good at optimizing the websites. So I was good at kind of getting feedback from potential customers and figuring out, okay, what can we do with this feedback? What can we do to improve? And then actually, get some designers and developers to do this. I was actually a lot better on that. So after about 6 years in this agency, I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to use my expertise on my own. So I created a small kind of conversion optimization agency for myself, where I worked as an independent consultant, and I worked for many of the biggest online stores in Scandinavia, actually. Optimized their websites. So basically did usability testing, doing A/B testing. That was back in the days where A/B testing was like very hot and new. Everybody talked about it, but no one really did it well. So that was really great. And then I actually, from one of my clients, where I optimized their website, they had this one challenge. And it was that they wanted to get more email subscribers from their website. But until I came to them, they only had this one huge pop-up that they have hard-coded that was really annoying. And they could see in their numbers that it increased the bounce rate. So many of those disappeared from the website who saw this, and it decreased their overall conversion. So they actually lost revenue even though they got more email subscribers. So it was kind of a bad business for them. So that was when I kind of, okay, this is an interesting challenge. So I brainstormed on some different ideas, and I came up with a very simple kind of solution where instead of showing a pop-up in the visitor's face right away, we just showed, I think it was when people scroll down maybe 50% on the website, we slided in a small kind of message that was very well designed with a very big close button that they can click on if they don't wanted the message, and it would kind of slide down again, and then it would just stay down as a very small kind of teaser bar in the bottom of the website. That was kind of my initial idea, and we got this hard-coded on the website, so no software, nothing, just hard-coded HTML on the website.
And what do you mean hard-coded?
Hard-coded is like, today, if people are using Sleeknote, they're just putting a script on their website, and then they can build everything within our platform. So when we hard code something, it's like we built the HTML, we built the CSS, we wrote the code and put it on the website. So that was like, specific coding. Today, we also code our platform, but it's software that our customers put on their website, and then they can do everything. So they don't need to write a line of code when they use Sleeknote. But back then, we need to write every single line of code to put this kind of sliding box on the website. So we got this on the website and we tested it out. It was a travel agency, the customer here, and they tested it out on the 4 travel agency websites they had, and they just got amazing results. So both they got a lot of email subscribers. 2, we could not see any decrease in conversions in general. So a number of sales, a number of travels they sold. And 3rd, we also looked at the email subscribers, the quality of those. So that was also a problem with the old one. They got a lot of kind of spammy emails subscribing because they just wrote blah, blah, blah at blah, blah, blah.com, and they could not use that. So we also looked at the quality. So it kind of looked like we got a good solution here. And then after that, after they got a great success, the way I kind of marketed myself back then was I had a blog. That was back in the days where blogs were really a big thing. And
so what year are you talking about right now?
This is 2012.
12, okay.
Yeah, 12, 11, maybe 12, 11. Back then, a lot of people commented on blogs. I don't think we do that much today as we did back then. But, when we read a good blog post, we said, oh, this is great. Do you have some, I don't know, we've had some questions to it. So I wrote a blog post about it. And I think I got around 50 emails from people the same day as I launched that blog post, from people who wanted the same solution on their website. So they wanted to have this that I just made for this travel agency. But the problem was that I could only write back to them that, well, that's great, but you have to go to your own agency or developer or whatever it is, and they will probably make it for you, but it's pretty expensive. But what they wanted was something to work out of the box, a software they could implement in 5 minutes, and then they could design everything themselves and, self-serviced. But that was just not possible back then. There was not a tool to do this. There were some WordPress plugins, but, if you didn't have a WordPress site, you couldn't use it. And the next 2-3 days, I continuously got around 30 to 40 emails from people who read my blog post who wanted this on their website, and I could only give them the same message. So that was when it kind of realized there's something here. I'm not a developer. I just brainstormed this idea and I got someone to do it, and my client was really happy. But obviously there's a kind of hole in the market here. SaaS in general was not that developed back then as it is today. Today there is 1,000 SaaS tools for every kind of industry, and that's great. But back then it wasn't that big a thing. So I teamed up with an old friend of mine who is a really, really good developer. I actually played music with him back in the days.
What do you play?
He was a drummer, and I was playing keys, synthesizer, and bass. So we were in a band back in the days, and I knew that he was a really good developer, and I knew he was a good guy. So I called him a late night, and I said, hey, Patrick, I have this great idea. I think we got around 150 potential customers that I can just call right away if we can build this. And they're probably willing to pay for it as well, because they're pretty excited if they can get this. And he was like, okay, let's sleep on it till tomorrow, and I'll talk to my girlfriend and see if we should do this. And I said, okay, fine. But if you get back to me, then it's because we mean this seriously. So it's probably about quitting our jobs pretty fast and do this. He was like, okay, fine, let's look at it. And then the next day he was like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. What he wanted me to do was, Mogens, if you can sell this without having it built, if we can sell it without it's even built yet, then I'm ready. Because then it's a kind of proof of concept that this is real. If it's just people saying, I want this on my website, and then when we actually come to them and we say this costs, I don't know, $50 per month, and they will be like, okay, that's not at all what I want to pay, then it's not interesting, he said, because he had a really great job and he was really happy and satisfied about that.
Yeah, you can't blame him. He didn't want to take the big leap unless there was really something there.
Yeah. So he kind of put me at a tough position there. But I was up for the challenge, so I contacted these customers.
Pop up or shut up is what he was doing, huh?
Yeah. So I actually reached out to these and said, okay, if you mean this seriously, to those who contacted me, if you want this non-intrusive kind of pop-up thing on your website, will you be willing to pay? I think we said just a flat rate of $35 per month if we develop this. 60 or 70 said, okay, we are good to go if you can build this. And then I got back to Patrick and said, okay, we're ready. I cannot pay you a full salary yet, but at least we got some money. And then maybe we can get some funding or whatever. But at least we got some potential customers already if we can build it. And then we begin to build it.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. So you went in and helped a client who had this annoying pop-up like we all have that I really call a speed bump to sales. Even though you're using them to try to convert a customer, they're so annoying and obtrusive and disruptive that they're just like, I don't know, they're like a tick on a dog. Beautiful dog, you pet it until you hit that tick and you go, oh God. Well, that's, people relate to pop-ups. So you found a way with your client to make it less obtrusive, have it kind of flow in with the experience. So it's, instead of punching you in the nose with the message, it's kind of tapping you on the shoulder. And if you care to look over this way, I'm going to share a message with you. If I don't look over at the moment, then it casually slides down as you were scrolling down and lands gently at the bottom of the page for me to come across again. Do I have that right?
Yeah, exactly.
That a sense. And then you said, okay, well, this is cool. You can hot code it, build it into a website for your customer. Other people started coming, seeing it and said, I want that in mine. And you go, well, you get your agency, get your digital firm to build it for you. It's kind of cumbersome. It's expensive. And then you go, aha, what if we were able to build this on the Sleek Note platform and enable subscribers to come in, buy that code essentially, and then piece together and work their pop-ups so that they are hopefully non-obtrusive and disruptive and go more with the flow of your user experience on your website. Do I have that right?
Exactly.
Okay. So you've got this going. You had 70 people in the funnel. How long did it take for you to build sleeknote.com and start servicing up? And what was the biggest challenge you came across in those initial days?
Actually, what we did back then was that I don't know if it's important for the story, but still, the name was not Sleeknote in the beginning because Patrick and I we had to find a name over a night, and I was playing this. I had this solo project as a musician. I played electronic music back in the days. That was called Twami for some reason. It was a nickname that my brothers called me when I was small, and there was only .com domain that I had. So let's call the company that. It's like Google. No one knows what it means, but it worked.
Okay, wait a second. They called you Twami?
Twami, that was just, I don't know, my brother just found it out. He just thought it was a great name when I was small. So I had that for my music project.
Okay.
It was the only .com domain that I owned, and we didn't have any money. And it was like, okay, let's put down the music website. Let's put up this software thing. So we were actually, the name was actually Twami of the company back then. And then we got another developer on board pretty fast from the same company where Patrick worked. So because with the initial issue that we should fix, or the first thing to do, was to build the platform. So we needed developers. So we had got another developer. Then actually we were approached, or I met an old colleague from the agency that I worked in back in the days. I met him at a conference in Denmark, and he was working at another little startup that was called Sleeknote. And they were 3 guys, and we were 3 guys. and we were kind of working on the same thing. They were maybe a little bit later than we were. They were not having any customers yet, maybe 1 or 2 customers, and we were having these 50, 60 customers. So we talked that, instead of trying to compete on the local small Danish market, why not team up and maybe build a product where we can actually compete against the biggest companies in the world in this niche. So we had this kind of negotiation. This was back in, I think it's back in December 2013. So we had this negotiation up to Christmas about how should this new company be, who should have different roles, and ownership of the new company. And then we decided to merge these 2 very, very small startups, and we decided to keep their name.
So then what? The 6 of you came together. You got rid of Twami. You must have broke your heart to lose your boyhood nickname, and you went with sleeknote.com. And then what happened?
Yeah, so we merged these companies, and then from there we were about to build this new company together. And well, there were a lot of challenges in that part. Of course, building a company from scratch is not easy. Well, first of all, we were 6 founders. That was a lot of guys to agree on anything in general, but also when building a company, it's a bit like getting married to someone, but now you're getting married to 5 other guys, and 3 of them you actually don't know that well. So actually, one of the founders just got a full-time position, or just offered a really great job, and so he wanted to work there, but he also wanted to be a bit in our business. So there we kind of had the first problem or thing to kind of figure out how to do. So that was one thing, and from there it was mainly about building the platform. So building a good solution that was scalable, building a good solution where you could, get in 1,000 new customers. Back then, Amazon Web Services was not that big a thing. So today, I guess every new SaaS business is just building on those servers, and it's completely scalable and all this stuff. But back then, it was a bit harder. We needed to we hosted it locally. We had a lot of issues there. And then I'll say in general, to build a brand is a big task. Well, it's just not easy. We did a lot in the beginning of using our personal kind of network, getting everyone kind of engaged. I was doing a lot of presentations at different conferences to kind of get this brand going. So we have invested a lot in general in inbound marketing. So we have actually invested a lot in telling the story about our products and telling stories about why it makes sense, and then telling stories about kind of, what is just around it. So doing pop-ups, what is interesting if you work with pop-ups in general, well, that is conversion optimization, because we optimize for sales, we optimize for getting email subscribers, different things. So we actually, the main driver for us have not been a sales department. Not until a year and a half ago, we hired our first sales reps. So until then, it was actually just marketing. It was our blog. It was a podcast. We have actually the most downloaded marketing podcast in Denmark. That is one that we host and do.
And what's it called?
It's called Marketing Brief. It's in Danish, so I know it doesn't sound like much for guys like in US, but actually we got quite a lot of downloads there. I can't remember the name now, or the number. So we do a lot of podcasts. It's not me, it's our CMO. So I'm just in there once in a while when we can do a bit of advertising for ourselves. And we do a little podcast, but I think we have like 400 episodes, something like that. So it's pretty big. And so we do blog, we do podcast, we do all kind of inbound, and it has just worked very well for us.
How many customers do you have now?
2,000.
2,000. And you've been around for 4 years?
5.
5 years.
Yeah.
So besides how the pop-up is now functioning on the website, so it's not, hitting you karate chop across the face, it kind of flows in and does its thing functionally. How are you using storytelling? How are you, that's great that the user experience is nicer, but now how do you actually populate it with content people care about and play to the story?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, first of all, we do everything we can to tell the positive stories about how to use let's just call them pop-ups, because pop-ups can actually be good. I think what we normally call them is on-site messages, because it has a more positive kind of tone. But well, people understand it when you call them pop-ups, but you can actually do pop-ups in a great way. So we put a lot of effort in communicating how to do pop-ups that is actually a help for the visitors instead of being an annoying element. So for example, just to give a few examples, if you decide to show a pop-up to all your visitors after 2 seconds, let's say that's very intrusive in general, but we don't recommend doing it. But if you do that, then do this one thing, that just beside the submit button or the sign up or whatever the button is when you sign up for my newsletter, just beside that, you can have a button that says maybe later. So if you click on that, then it will kind of stay in the bottom of the website or in the side or wherever, so people can find it again. So what normally happens on our customers' websites, it's mainly a lot of our customers are e-commerce. So if you go onto an online store, you get a pop-up that give you, let's say, 20% discount on your first order. That's actually in most times, it's actually a good message. People want that, but they're just not ready yet. Instead of just closing it down, then what I see in usability tests is that when people then come to the checkout flow, they actually want this message again, but now they can't find it because they closed it. So having this maybe later button and giving them the possibility to find the message again, because we then kind of move it down in the bottom of the website, that's just one simple thing to do it just a little bit better than just removing it completely.
And it puts the visitor in control, I guess. So they're completely out of control when they're bombarded with a pop-up. But now they're like, oh, I might be interested in this, but let me get it out of the way right now.
Exactly. And another way that a lot of our customers are using it is if you are on an online store and you're about to you go to a category page where you have like this long list of different products. So let's say you're buying a pillow. And, pillows are not something that we buy every year, maybe every 5 or 8 years, I don't know, but something like that. So you don't know what's important about a pillow. So what a lot of our customers are doing is that when their visitors are scrolling down on this long list of different pillows, where there's an image and a name and a price, then they show a little message that's sliding in saying, do you need help finding the right pillow? Read our pillow guide here. And then it's a call to action. Click there. And then what they're doing in SleekNote is that they are tracking how many of the visitors are clicking on that and how many of those are then actually converting to becoming a customer. And then we kind of compare that to those who are not looking at that SleekNote campaign. Because what we can see there is normally that when people are going to that guide, when they're getting that advice, we are actually helping them making a buying decision, because now they know the difference of what is nature filling, what is fiber filling, what do you need to know when you buy a pillow, or what do you need to know when you're buying a washing machine. That's kind of also something that you don't buy every year, but maybe every 5 or 10 years. So giving visitor a better chance of making a buying decision, that's also a really good use case for a non-intrusive pop-up that our customers are using in general. So what we're doing there is we are crafting stories. Actually, we're just telling our customers stories on our website, that this is kind of the old way. This is annoying pop-up after 1 second, everybody's running away. This is the new way, being intelligent, showing this pop-up only if people are having, for example, a buying intent, or if they're scrolling down, or if they are about to leave the website and you maybe don't want to be annoying and say, oh, you leave the website, buy our products. No, if they're about to leave your website, then just ask them, we can see you're leaving a website. There was something you did not find, or did you have a question? Just write that in this message field and send it to us. That's just good service. That's not annoying. That's just, okay, I didn't find the product, or it was too expensive, or whatever it is. And then you're getting a lot of great information that you can optimize your website for. So I think it's in general to, what we're looking at when we're looking at our customers, it's a kind of a virtual assistant compared to going into a physical store. People, when somebody is approaching you and asking if they can help you, this is a bit the same way. It's just virtual. So you don't want to be the annoying one that's going up to every single one going into the shop and say, hey, can I help you? And then 30 seconds after you're saying, can I help you now? Can I help you now? No, but look at their intention, look at their behavior, and then see, okay, I can see you're looking at this white shirt. Do you want it in another size? I can see you might be a large and it's only small that we have right here. Maybe I should show you this instead. That's basically what we want to kind of do, but just online.
So you are reframing the pop-up from that abusive sales tool to an unintrusive helping tool that pops in and is there to help guide you through a purchase decision, whether you are going to make that purchase or not. You're simply there helping them decide if this is right for them or not. So people presumably aren't pushing away from that pop-up. They're like, oh, this is actually adding more depth to the customer experience on my site.
Exactly. That's spot on.
Do you have a success story you could share of a client that was doing it the old way, and then they started doing it the sleek note way, and the impact it had on their business?
Well, the initial success story I already told, it was about the travel agency that did it the old way. People ran away, and then they did it a new way. And,
well, they were your beta
of
test, basically. It's where you came up with the idea, huh?
Yeah, that is actually the best success story. But today, obviously, we got a lot of success stories because we are converting. I think we are at around 83 new customers this month alone. And normally they're going from a solution already where they are not satisfied. So that is probably the old way where they are showing this annoying pop-up going to ours. What we normally see is that people, if they do it the right way, so actually, it can sound a bit counterintuitive, but actually what works best, as far as we can see, is that people create more pop-ups when using Sleeknote. But actually, it's getting less intrusive by doing that. I can explain why. Because normally when you do it the old way, you're having one pop-up that is the same message to every single visitor, and it's showing you on maybe every page load the same annoying message. So that's just one pop-up, but it's really generic message. So what people doing when they're going to our platform is probably they'll set up 10 or 20 different pop-ups, but it will only show on specific kind of rules. So it could, for example, be, we have this one rule that is geo-targeting. If a visitor is from, let's say, Copenhagen, and I got a shop in Copenhagen, I want to show them that now it's Zoom Black Friday and we are open until 10 o'clock. That's actually a good message to give people from Copenhagen, but it doesn't make sense to show that message to people from, I don't know, Stockholm in Sweden. So that is why they're having only this pop-up for these visitors. And then another pop-up if people are coming from Facebook, where I have a Facebook ad that is having some kind of message that I want to kind of continue into the website. So they have the same message on the website. That's another message or another pop-up. And then I have another pop-up if people are putting, let's say, something in the basket. It's on a wine online store. They're putting a bottle of wine in the basket for, let's say, I don't know, $100. Then we actually want to give them an incentive to complete their order. So maybe we are giving them something, a little thing for free to complete their order. But we don't want to give it away for free if they don't have that much in the basket. If they just put a wine that cost, I don't know, $30, something like that. So instead of having one generic message, we will probably have 10, 20 personalized and targeted messages. And that is where you have more pop-ups, but actually it feels like it's just more intelligent messaging in general.
Yeah. And so it sounds like one of the biggest mistakes people make with their current pop-ups, the old-fashioned way of doing pop-ups, is one generic message for everybody, and let me just get this in front of you no matter how much it pisses you off, so it's there. Yours now is very much more targeted to the person coming in. So it may not see the light of day as often, but it is being shown to the right people at the right time.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of it, that you won't look at the one specific pop-up and see that needs as many visitors or as many leads as this one that I had before. No, now you're going to do the sum of all these and then figure out, okay, how much is that actually generating? And when you do it more targeted, we in general see, it's hard to say numbers, but normally around 30-40% more conversions. And it's really hard to do a tracking of, how much is people getting annoyed with the old way. So we don't have that many numbers on that. You can look at bounce rate, but it's not giving the exact number. But I'll say in general, it will probably be good for user experience if you show him more intelligent, personalized messaging. The good thing for us is that the market is more and more going in this direction because people have the same feeling as you had. I hope you had it in the beginning. Maybe now it's changed a little bit, that pop-ups are annoying.
I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better, Mogans. Yes.
Pop-ups are annoying, but also when you say that, people will also probably say pop-ups are effective. So that is often the kind of idea that people have. It's annoying, but it's effective. So we still need them. And that is where we say, right, we completely understand you. It is annoying and it's effective, but let's do it in a way where it's not annoying, but still effective.
Yeah.
And then everyone is happy.
So I'm going to plant a question in your head that we will answer towards the latter part of the show, the end of the show, about I'm going to ask you to share some of the most creative uses of pop-ups that you've seen in your career that maybe listeners can learn from and use for themselves. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit more now, going back to your story. And here you started building Sleek Notes. You went from 70 some customers interested before you even had anything to show them. And now 4 to 5 years, you've had thousands of customers on board using it. But you, in the throes of all this, had some personal issues that made you really decide, are you going after venture capital? Are you going to fund it yourself? How is this going to impact your time with your family and your 4 kids? And where do you find the balance in life? So with that, could you take our listeners through what you experienced?
Yeah, sure. This was, I think it's now 3 years ago, where we were having this business that was around 2 years old. We were seeing some great growth, good traction. Back then, when we were very inexperienced, actually, at least compared to where we are now. And back then, we just heard everyone says that if you're building a startup, the only way to go is, getting venture capital. I don't know if that's still the word, maybe in the US,
It is.
but
Yep.
but at least that's how it was in Denmark. That it's the only way to grow a business with venture capital if it's software. So I was actually interviewing a lot of founders about this, about that have had venture capital and how it kind of affected their work, affected their team, affected their personal life in general also. So we were getting very much in doubt whether or not we should do this, because some stories were positive, but also I think most of them said that, the day we got this contract signed with this venture capitalist or this venture capital firm, we, celebrated in champagne the whole night. And then the next day we just had 30 or 40% more work than we had before. So we were already worked out, but now it's just, now we're just completely stressed out. So when we were at that time and about to do this decision, I can actually remember I was in the train going to the capital city in Denmark, Copenhagen, where I was about to pitch for a competition that we were in. I think it was a competition for being the best e-commerce tool in Denmark. So I was really focused. I was in the train to Copenhagen. And then I got a call from a doctor that I was visiting 2 weeks earlier that removed I'm not actually sure what the name is of that in English, but it's these small kind of spots you can have in your skin. I can just
like a little mole or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just I have this Google Translate here, so I can get you exactly what it is. Sorry, I didn't prepare that. So it's a birthmark.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. Good. So I had this little birthmark that had a weird kind of color. So my doctor removed that, and he said, it's nothing. So just relax now, just remove it. But we will look into what it is and to give you an answer, so you're completely sure.
By the way, how did you find the birthmark, or what made you suspect it might be a problem?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my wife saw this birthmark. It was at my just beneath my breast, my left breast, and she had seen that it changed color. I didn't take notice of it at all, and she said, you need to go to a doctor and figure out if it's something. And I kind of postponed it. I said to her, yes, I'll do this very soon. And I just, postponed it because I was completely sure it was nothing. But then she kept saying, have you got this checked? And I was like, oh no, I forgot it. So, and then I think after half a year or so, I said, okay, now, okay, I do it now. I book a time with my doctor and he'll look at it. And then he cut it away, analyzed it. And then he gave me this call in the train going to Copenhagen that, first of all, he asked me if I was alone. And I was like, yes and no. I'm in a train, but I don't know any of those. Then he asked me if I could come to the city where we lived in and the doctor were, but I was actually going in the complete opposite direction of the country. So, and I said I was going to a competition to pitch in front of this panel, so I could not change it. I need to go. And he was like, okay, then, sit down at least. And then he told me that there was cancer in this birthmark and pretty big chance that it has kind of developed from there as well, gone to some other places in the body. So he really needed me to come into the hospital as fast as possible when I got home from Copenhagen, and they would do some tests and figure out if it had kind of developed.
So what were you feeling at this moment on the train? On one hand, prepared and having the butterflies, as we say, of going into this big presentation, and then being handed this news?
Yeah, it was extremely weird. It was like, sitting there looking at these people and just feel like 2 minutes ago when I looked at them, world was like one thing, or like the world was like this. Now the world is completely different. So it was like I saw them in another lens. It was just like, just before when I thought this girl over here was happy, now she's looking depressed. Or it was just, I don't know. The best way I can compare it to if when you get a child for the first time I walked at a street after I got my first child, it was like, why are people not smiling at me all the time? Because I'm a father now. So why can't you see it? I'm amazing. It worked out great. It's the only thing I can compare it a bit to is like, it felt like they were looking at me. It's like, and I just got a bit paranoid. It was really weird. I tried to kind of focus on this pitch thing, try to say, okay, I need to have this in my mind. But it was very weird, and we did not win that pitch competition.
Understandably.
I'm not sure this is the reason, but I was maybe a bit beside myself.
Probably a little preoccupied, I'm guessing.
Yeah. With this story, it somehow became a lot easier what decision we were about to make for this strategy for us going forward about venture funding or bootstrapping, basically. Because the one thing that was kind of the same thing everyone said is that if you go this way, as I said, you get a lot more busy, probably getting stressed out. You probably also have to say to your family and your kids, you won't see them a lot for the next 3 or 5 years because it's this way or no way. So, and I know this is maybe a bit, probably there are different ways of venture capital in different in different sectors or different capital firms. But
boy, I don't know. I think it sounds like you're spot on from what I know of VC.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not trying to be generalizing that this is every VC firm, but at least that was what I heard, that this is probably how it's gonna be. You're not gonna see your family that much, and also if you get, and that was also an important thing for us, if you get to a decision that is important for you, let's say you get an offer for your business that you can sell to a good price that you think is good, really fought for this, but the venture capital firm don't think it's high enough, they can kind of, in most cases, at least in most contracts they make, say, this is not good enough, continue. You need to grow to 10 times this before it's even interesting for us.
They own you. You get some money, but they own you.
Yeah. And that was where, like, I would really be happy if I made, if we sold to, I don't know, $10 million. That would be awesome. And we can split that us five founders, and I could travel with my wife and kids, and we would have a great life the rest of our lives. That would be amazing in itself. So we at that time, I was just like, I'm not ready because of all this cancer thing. I got so much more aware how much my family means to me. So if I was about to, go through this cancer thing and then say, thank you so much for supporting me a lot. I think it took like 3 months and just to end the cancer thing, it did not develop. So it was actually a way at that moment where he cutted that birthmark. but I didn't know that until about a month later or 2 months later. So I was about to say to them, if I went this VC way, that thank you so much for really supporting me now. Now I'm going with VC money. I probably won't see you the next 3 years. And we got, at that time, I think we had 3 kids. So my wife would be very much alone with those kids. And they are all very small. So they were 0, 2, and 4 years old. So 3 very, very small kids. So it takes work of 2 grown-ups to handle that. So that was just an easy decision for me, that this is not the way we want to grow our business. And then it's okay that we don't grow 300% every year. We can live with growing 50% or 60%. It's okay. We still have a good business. We today have customers in 53 countries. We got 2,000 customers. And we are really proud and happy, and we are growing with our own money. And honestly, I was not happy that I got cancer, but I was happy about the decision that it kind of made us do.
It was a wake-up call. It led you to the right decision for you, for your family, and for your overall business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
well, thank you. Thank you, Mogens, for sharing that story. I mean, I can't even imagine how horrifying it may have been to get that message while you're going to something as high stress as making a big presentation on behalf of you, your 5 partners, and your company. So thank you for that. And let's go back to that question now. You are healthy yourself. You've got a healthy family, a really healthy company. What can you share with us are some of the best practice or some of the most creative uses of pop-ups that you've seen that our listeners might consider in their own storytelling?
That's a great question. Well, there are a lot of different kind of creative ways. I would say in general, just thinking about the design of these pop-ups can be so much more creative than 99% of pop-ups you see. So it's pretty hard to get an idea of in a podcast, but you have to see that for yourself. But just thinking about the design in general, it can be so much more fun. If you go to, for example, our pricing page at Sleeknote, is not because I want people to go in and buy our product, but if you go there, you'll see a big picture of me in a sliding box in the button, where there's a big picture of me saying, do you have any questions about our pricing? And it's just kind of incorporated in the picture. So it's just thinking about design in general can do a lot of creative stuff and can put so much more attention. We see in general across our customers that the one thing, if you put a picture in your pop-up boxes, actually, no matter how stupid you do it otherwise, but just putting a picture in it compared to not having a picture, you double your conversion rate.
I'm there right now, by the way. You look very handsome in that pop-up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So just that one thing, putting a picture, you'll double your conversion rate. That's what we see on average across our customers. But being a very creative, there are a lot of funny ways our customers are using our platform. I would say one of them that I actually liked, I saw the other day, was now when we record this, it's very soon Black Friday. I guess that's,
and you guys have Black Friday there too. I thought that was just an American following Thanksgiving Friday thing, but you guys have it as well, huh?
Yeah. We copy everything that you do over there, just like 5-10 years with delay, right?
Don't do that. Stop copying America. Everything that happened the last 4 years here, I need you to erase that. Let's push a reset button, and let's see if we can't be respectably copyable in the future.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Okay, I think actually we paused it a bit about 4 years ago, but I think we're now back to a situation where we can begin to look at what you do again. But yes, we do have Black Friday. I think it has been a thing in Denmark now for maybe 5-6 years. So now it's a really big thing. And what we can see, we do a lot of usability testing for our customers. So we look at our customers' websites, we see how their visitors interact with their website and what they are clicking on, what they're not clicking on, all this stuff. So what we can see there, especially here up to Black Friday, is that a lot of customers are on a product page, they are highlighting either the product ID, the number, or the product name. So if you're buying, let's say, a TV, you're buying a Samsung TV, then you'll probably go into some kind of online store. You'll highlight the name. If you don't think it's the right price, you'll copy that. You'll go into Google, you'll Google that name, and then you'll probably find it a bit cheaper on a competitor's website. That's just a pretty common behavior. So what one of our customers did was that they triggered a Sleeknote campaign when people highlighted that product text. And in that campaign, they said, hey, just so you know, we got price guarantee on all our products or on this specific Samsung TV. So just before they are about to copy that text, leave the website, go to a competitor's website and probably buy it there, they're just saying to them, well, just so you know, we are cheaper. We are the cheapest solution. Or they maybe even show, I just talked to the customer afterwards and I said, this was a really great idea. They even considered showing competitors' prices in that little Sleek Note pop-up that triggered, because then they were just being transparent. Well, this is our price, and this is what you can expect from our competitors. So I think that was pretty intelligent thought that they are having a behavior here where they're about to leave our website. So when they highlight that, we trigger this campaign.
Do you know what their conversion rate was on that particular tactic?
So the conversion rate from actually highlighting that to converting, that was, I can't remember what it was, but I think around maybe 20%, 25%, really high.
And what is the average conversion rate for a pop-up?
Well, an average conversion rate is around 2-3%. But that is also when you take into consideration that even though people are using our platform, they can still use it in not intelligent ways. So we are not like looking at all our customers and saying, this is stupid, don't do that. So they are able to use our platform to something not that intelligent. So around 2-3%, that is an average. But those who are doing it really well, for example, in this case, they can see high conversions, really high conversions. So I just think that was a amazing, simple use case that honestly all online stores could use to some extent if they have a good price on their products.
Yeah. And even if you're not hitting those astronomical conversion rates, at least you're not pissing off the user who may be not ready to buy right now, but could be tomorrow or next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're coming back. They're not just so annoyed that they are gone forever.
Exactly.
How can people learn more about you and Sleek Note and all you are doing?
Yeah, so sleeknote.com, that's the place to go. If some of those who listen here think it would be nice to test out. Now, I've talked a lot about online stores, but actually I think around maybe 40% of our customers are online stores. Other of our customers are just websites in general, media websites, consultancies, so all kind of businesses, schools and all this. If you have some kind of action that you want your visitors to do on your website, well, our platform can be a good thing to test out. So sleeknote.com. And if you want to get this knowledge that I talked about before and these stories, it's sleeknote.com/blog. On that blog, we post around 2 blog posts every week. So we put a lot of effort into creating quality content. We got our own copywriters, so it's not ghost writing. It's like our own copywriters, and they put a lot of effort into making these great content pieces. So yeah.
Well, Mogens, thank you so much for taking time to be here. I know I've taken time away from you and your family. It's 8 o'clock at night there, I think.
Yeah, almost 9 now.
Almost 9. So I really appreciate you being here on the Business of Story.
Thank you for having me, Park. It's been a great pleasure.
And thank you all for listening to this edition. You know what to do. If you liked Mogens' story and you've got friends and family and colleagues and clients that can benefit from him and Sleek Note, then by all means share this episode with them. And you know what else to do. If I can be of service to you, visit me over at businessofstory.com. I really appreciate you all being here. If you haven't yet purchased your copy of Brand Bewitchery that will share with you how to wield the story cycle system to craft spellbinding stories for your brand, then by all means get your copy now at either Amazon or Apple Books. And if you have purchased a copy, and if you have gone through it, please do me a favor and make a rating and review on Amazon for me. It's the only way I really get found on the Amazon jungle. So I much appreciate that too. And until next Monday, when we will have another story artist back here for you like Mogens, remember that the most potent story you'll ever tell is the story you tell yourself. So make it a great one. Thanks for listening.